Yeah, okay.
All right, let's go ahead and get started here, everybody. We're here at RE Plus 2020 in Anaheim, California, and we're at the K2 Systems booth number 814, and we're connecting strength with connecting our partners and our relationships with all of our digital solutions that we bring to the table. We're really, really happy to see everybody, and I'd like to introduce Jeff Blick with GreenLancer.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Glad to be here, Nick. Thanks for having us out. I think I did anything.
Turn it back on.
Hello?
There you go. Excellent.
So yeah, glad to be here. Let's talk about our partnership and some other important things here, huh?
Absolutely. Can you give us a little background on where GreenLancer started?
Sure. So we started in 2013 out of Detroit, Michigan, and we're software, right? So we're an online marketplace that connects installers and do-it-yourself customers with designers and engineers to keep their permit process streamlined. A lot's changed since 2013. The platform has improved quite a bit. We brought on a ton more engineer and design partners so that the turnaround time on everything has gone down quite a bit. We're working on, ever evolving. Now we're dealing with batteries a lot and battery systems.
Storage is a big deal this year. So
yep.
There's plenty of vendors here providing storage and options and more solutions for storage. I'm glad you guys are working on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the biggest improvement, I would say, in the industry these days, and a huge change. Just with the way the grid has been operating, especially here in California. Batteries are kind of offering that next level of grid safety and uptime, and ultimately that's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, tremendous leaps I've seen. When did you get started in the solar industry?
I started in the solar industry in 2006. I graduated from San Juan College, a little tech school down in New Mexico, and from there cut my teeth installing off-grid systems up in northern Vermont. And then from there, kind of everything. I've done everything from small residential to large commercial to even large off-grid telecom systems out in the California desert.
Have you actually installed out in the snow in Vermont?
Oh yeah, well, not in Vermont, but in Oregon.
That's kind of fresh to me because I'm a California guy, so I've never had to deal with that kind of territory.
Oh yeah, I mean, there are, especially, January, February in Eastern Oregon, we spent a lot of time shoveling roofs off before we could even get to work.
I've even heard stories of people making stairs out of snow so they can actually install.
I would believe that in Vermont. That wouldn't happen in Oregon.
No,
I believe it. I believe it in Vermont. Yeah.
So let's go a little bit further into GreenLancer and how the platform has evolved. So you guys have always been a online tool. So how did it actually start?
Well, I mean, it started with a couple guys and an idea, of course, and I think the idea was always that the software was going to be something that would help bridge from pencil drawing and drafting to what we're doing now.
Absolutely.
The idea back then was to standardize a set of solar plans. What does that look like? What sheets are going to be involved in it? What information is it can convey to the building department and things like that?
What restrictions do some jurisdictions have? Are there setbacks and things like that? Are there? I think that every city has a different approach of how they look at solar. So it's very. It can be very difficult to navigate if you're a small regional installer or if you're just getting started installing in solar.
Right, well, I mean, thankfully our partners, and to be clear, our partners are the ones who are doing this work. Our bit is the software bridge from the customer to the engineer or designer, right? So we're the bridge. We also are there to smooth things along if there's any kind of problems, any sort of communication issues, things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you guys are headquartered in Detroit, Michigan, yes?
Headquartered in Detroit.
How many team members do you have now, and how many team members? You guys said you started with 2 team members, right?
I think 2 or 3 was the initial. We're up to about 15 right now, and we actually have our newest employee here today. Would be her very first day.
Well, that's excellent for them because they're getting to attend one of the highest attended shows of the year so far. So I think there's something like 20,000 people here. Yeah, so we have a tremendous attendance, so that team member is very lucky. walking right into a successful show.
Yeah, for sure. And I think from our point of view, the sky's kind of the limit, right? We do have a telecom side of the business, so we're doing design and engineer work for the telecom side, and now we're moving into electric vehicle charging, and have had that up and running for about a year or so.
That's fascinating.
So we're doing all the same design and engineering services there, and it's all about bringing people together for us.
Absolutely. So you guys are out of Detroit, Michigan. You guys are available through our base online tool. So any installer or any designer can log onto our system, design an array, get a full bill of materials with all of the engineering that K2 provides with our products, and then with a click of a button, they can go over to GreenLancer, and you guys have a whole suite of options. Could you maybe give us some of the newer things that are in some of those options?
Sure, absolutely. So, our base sort of bread and butter option is a plan set. So this is a 12 to 14 sheet permit plan set, and it's got everything you need. It's got your site plan, it's got your roof layout, it's got your attachment details, electrical diagram, spec sheets,
historical weather, load.
Not that kind of stuff so much.
We have that on our tool, but they can see that by their zip code.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's where the partnership comes into play. Yeah. So when somebody clicks on the GreenLancer integration in K2, that ultimately exports their bill of materials and the engineering report into our system, and then that becomes part of the plan set. So it's not part of it is in the plan set, but it's your guys' actual documentation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that means that we have to make sure that all of the data that we're providing over to you with the bridge that we have is actually good data. So
yeah, and it's been going really smooth, really well, and I think it's been a good thing for everybody. Your customers ultimately, right? Because that's who this is for. It's to make their lives a little bit easier, keep their permit process streamlined so that they can just kind of keep going. One of their people, comes through, does the design work on K2's website, and then it comes through to us, and within 48 hours, we're turning it back around. And for those guys to get a permit, it really only takes about 10 or 15 minutes of data entry into our website in order for them to get a full plan set, as opposed to somebody spending 3 or 4 hours doing all the, drafting and all the other stuff.
And I think what you guys actually offer is a streamlined solution for a lot of these installers to focus really on their business, so they can actually keep installing, keep their customers happy, and you guys can actually do all of the support and assistance they would need with their planning of their project.
That's 100% correct. I mean, you nail it. I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's it. We can be your backroom engineering department. You don't have to add any overhead. You don't have to hire any extra people. You just need to get us good information, and we'll turn around good engineering and design documentation every time.
And that's a part of your guys' staple, right? Is the 48-hour, 72-hour turnaround business days?
Absolutely. Now that's for residential systems. When we get into the commercial systems, anything over, say, 50 kW, the timeline increases a little bit. There's just more design work. There's more drafting work, and so 5 to 7 business days for a commercial project. If it needs an electrical engineering stamp, it might sneak out to like 8 or 9 days, just because there's coordination that has to happen between the drafter, the structural engineer, and the electrical engineer, assuming that they're not both able to stamp the same plan.
I wanted to ask you guys a question about a newer product that I had recently come across, and I don't know if you guys have come across it, but it was called a mid-circuit interrupter. It's supposed to do rapid shutdown. Are you guys seeing that being requested on some of your plan sets?
Well, I mean, United States code requires it.
Okay.
So you have to have some
RSD,
sort of some sort of optimizer, some sort of rapid shutdown setup. So yeah, at this point, 100% of our plans would have to have them in there.
Got it.
Unless there are some in some off-grid instances, it's maybe not required, but other than that, 99.9% of the time, you're having an optimizer or a rapid shutdown set up in there.
Absolutely. So you just went over that you guys do cover an abundance of residential projects, and then we talked about commercial projects as well. Let's talk about some oddball projects. Have you guys seen anything that's just totally out of the ordinary and people are asking you for engineering support on those kind of projects? I had somebody the other day ask me about a decommissioned landfill and what we could do to offer, because you can't penetrate the ground on a territory like that. Have you guys had any like really strange, odd projects that have happened recently?
I can't speak to that.
Stadiums.
Oh yeah.
Stadiums. Okay.
Yeah.
Stadiums. Okay. Or like, we've had some people even ask us about just putting parking lot solar, like a ballasted system, right on the ground. You know, instead of erecting a structure for it. So maybe like a business that is, you know, closed and you just have an empty tarmac. So
yeah, I mean, we're certainly doing engineering for a lot of carport systems these days. It's super popular mounting system.
It's actually one of my favorite. I had not done a carport at my old company until I onboarded onto K2. And the one that I did with Citadel Roofing and Solar was actually a Class D because there's a helicopter pad close by.
Oh yeah.
So so it's
super beefy.
It's a hospital. So they actually needed to make sure that it was way over-engineered.
Yeah, well, and that's something I think you guys do very well at.
We do. We have a lot of new products here for 2022, and GreenLancer's here with us as well. Just anybody who's walking in new here. So we talked about residential projects. That's one of the things you guys focus on primarily, and a very quick turnaround as well to any clients who have projects with you guys.
That's right.
All of it's online at the click of a button, but you guys still provide excellent customer service, right?
Right, that's where the human element's a big important part of this, because there are other companies out there that are strictly software, and there's no human interaction at all, and that's when problems start arising. If there's a lot of communication that has to go back and forth on some of these, you know, for revisions from the inspector or something like that, or panels or inverters change due to availability and whatever. And so when you go try to communicate with a computer, it doesn't always spit back an answer right away. Where we are there in between the software and the engineer and the customer. And if there's an issue with the communication, we step right in and we make sure that the communication gets tied up and done. And
I've experienced that firsthand with you guys, with David Ringo. He's just rapid response, and that's one of the things I think you guys excel at, is making sure that your customers know that they're not alone in their project, and you guys aren't just spitting out bad information to them. You're actually there making sure that you get their projects across the finish line.
Yep, and we now do have coverage from east to west coast, so we're able to be open during normal business hours across the country now.
Excellent. Yeah. I've seen you guys at one point in time presented a map to me of how many projects you guys have actually done. Can you quantify that today?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands of projects out there.
That map gets updated every once in a while, and these days you can barely see the country underneath it except for bits of the Dakotas.
Yeah. We love seeing the whole map covered in green. That's one of the things I love about your guys' slogan. So, with all that said, too, have you guys tapped into like more utility projects? Is that available at your guys at your disposal for all of the installers out there?
It is. We brought on some new partners that can handle those larger projects, and you know, things are moving ahead in that direction for sure. And you know, I think it's one of the things we're looking forward to really getting going on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Microgrids. Have you guys been a part of any of those yet?
Not that I am aware of off the top of my head right now, but you know, I mean, that moving forward, I think that's going to be a big part of it, and I think we'll see a lot of that on the EV side of things, honestly.
I agree. So my household, we just got an EV as well. We have a Type 1 charger in the garage. We got rid of our standard SUV, and we got a Volvo X40. And it's actually been life-changing for us. So we've noticed right out the bat that there's a huge reduction in our consumption of gas. There's zero. I mean, I still have my gas car, But I definitely think that EVs are the future, along with solar and storage. With you guys providing all the resources that you have to get these permits across the finish line for these customers and your projects, I think that's a phenomenal way to see a bright future for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I think for you guys too. I mean, just looking at your new attachments and stuff here, it's some pretty innovative stuff, and I mean, roofs are evolving too. It's not just solar panels and inverters that are evolving. So.
Absolutely. New constructions. Are you guys working with any firms that are requesting your services for that kind of stuff?
Oh, all kinds. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as there's a set of plans that we can work off of, we can do anything.
I mean, especially with the mandate here in the state of California, I believe it is Title 22, that all new constructions do have to have grid-tied solar on top of them. I see a lot of it out in the valley, out in your Tracy's and your Modestos, and even out in like your Fresnos and Kern County, Bakersfield, things like that. So I mostly kind of know that area because I serviced that area for a very long time. So I've seen a lot of these new constructions come up, and seeing solar go on that just I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I just want to see rooftop solar. I just want to get modules on roofs and just do everything that we can to provide stability to this grid.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think things are heading in the right direction, and thankfully we work for two companies that are trying their best to be innovators, and that's why the partnership works, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So last thing I wanted to ask you really quick here. So we did go over the fact that resi, commercial, utility, electrical, EV, and storage options. What might be new in the future for you guys?
I mean, I think we're just going to build up our capabilities to support battery systems, support EV systems. We got a lot of exciting things happening on the telecom side of our company as well, as that stuff's all blowing up too. But I really think solar and storage and EV for the next foreseeable future, that's where it's going to be at. Everybody wants it. Everybody, not everybody can afford it yet, but we're getting there.
I think as the industry continues to grow and there's more companies that come out with more technology, it's going to be more accessible to everybody. So
absolutely.
Competition really does drive, the economics of everything that we do. I had an interesting project that I was working on with a contractor in Santa Clara County. And they had a very interesting, difficult, actually, a difficultly interesting stipulation about where you can actually place batteries. Is that some of the things that you guys are running into with jurisdictions as well?
A little bit. They're definitely in parts of California, like San Francisco, LA, where they have some seismic issues, of course.
Yep.
So they're looking to make sure that the battery's not going to flex and get pulled off the wall. And so looking for engineering stamps on some of that. On some of our bigger projects, like big commercial systems with storage, they have to have the whole energy container engineered oftentimes.
Wow.
So the foundation of the container to how the batteries are actually attached inside the container, and they're requiring stamps on all of it.
I think that's actually what Santa Clara wanted. There was something about actual line of sight for the fire department as well. They have to be able to, so the fire department has to visually see exactly where it is.
Yep.
And which is pretty difficult for every home to have, a quarantined area where the battery can go.
Right. I mean, that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but most of these battery manufacturers are making their shells watertight so they can be outside. And we've got some choice now in that matter, and it doesn't all have to be tucked in a corner in the garage anymore.
Right. So any questions for me?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've talked so much over the last couple of months. I feel like, I know way more about you guys than I did 2 months ago, that's for sure.
Absolutely. We have made more advancements and enhancements to our base design tool. As we continue to engineer and design new products, we keep on making sure that they're accessible through our digital solutions. So you guys will be seeing more mounting equipment come on. We obviously have our new south-face ballasted system that we're debuting here at the show at RE Plus 2022 here in Anaheim.
And I really do think a lot of these new roof attachments that you guys have come up with, I mean, I was an installer for 9 years before I got a desk job, and we didn't have anything like any of that stuff. We were buying old school Obi flashings.
And they're still out there.
Yeah, right.
They're still out there. No, but there's been so much being on the product development side and taking a ton of voice of customer on the performance enhancements that the boots on the roof want, that the companies would like to see lighter equipment for their technicians. They'd like to find a way to reduce consumption of parts, have some redundancy in performance of systems as well. Like this part plays nice with the next part. We don't have to have isolated directions on equipment. Yeah. So we're really trying to put a lot of that information into and extrapolate all that from our clients and get a really good consensus on what they want.
Yeah, and I think your roof mounting system over here has a really nice wire management built into it, and that's pretty important these days. I mean, because inspectors are getting sick of seeing zip ties all over rails and stuff.
Wire management is a big deal. Yeah. It's a big deal. And we provide that with the Crossrail system. We do have accessories that aid in your wire management out there. I was going to ask you, with the hundreds of thousands of projects that you guys have assisted everyone in this industry with, how much data are you guys using? Do you guys have terabytes and terabytes of projects?
I'm definitely not the right person to ask about that. I'm not an IT guy at all. But yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, we're processing between 200 and 300 projects a day through our platform.
That is fascinating.
So, and there are days where it's a lot more than that. Of course, there's days where it's less, but on average, 200 to 300 projects a day. 12 to 1,300 comments going back and forth from contractors to engineers, and all that stuff is managed. We have analytics on all of it. We have analytics on completion, so what percentage of projects are being completed in the 48 hours, what percentage of comments are being answered in 24 hours, which is our promise on that. And the numbers are pretty amazing.
That's fascinating.
We're high 90% for a 2-day turnaround, like 97, 98%. And about the same for comments on a daily basis from contractors back to our engineers.
Absolutely, and having that human footprint and having a really successful customer service, options for your clients out there, I think is always key. I'm so glad that we're able to come to this show again, meet our customers in person, see them, show them our products, but ask them the questions about what they're encountering out there. And I'm really happy that we have a partnership with you guys to offer them a digital solution, help their projects get across the finish line with the right information, the right permitting, and the right electrical solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you guys too. It's a great partnership, and I look forward to it evolving and getting even better.
Absolutely. So our digital team is here. I think you'll get a chance to talk with Gal and Miguel a little bit more in the future here.
And our digital guy Matt is here now too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're having a great time here at RE Plus Anaheim. We're here with GreenLancer, and thank you very much for your time today.
Nick, appreciate
Jeff,
it.
It's been great.
Yeah, likewise, sir. Thank you.